unmute. I'm gonna unmute, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna.
We were there.
We were there. Because I would see. Oh, now I'm seeing it. So
we just got to get a little.
I think we got to bring this down. So okay, so that's good there. Man, these mics or whatever. All right, now I'm seeing. Oh, that's better. Now I'm seeing some lines. Not that anybody's here to enjoy what I'm talking about, but okay. So we left on Tuesday a tiny bit frustrated because we couldn't get the NATS thing working. And then right after our, let me get the code up first of all here. Hold on. There we go. Code up. So let me switch over to the code. So right after we hung up this thing's like directly my way, dude. I'm just gonna move that a little bit.
Yep.
So yeah, whatever. All right. So the moment we hung up, I did what I said I was going to do. I said, I'm going to write a little hack program. Let me get a little bigger. To validate that the NATS is working.
Yep.
And sure enough, this code worked. I did have to put a little sleep in here because of whatever. It didn't matter. But it worked. And I'm like, what the heck, dude? Like, this is working. And so then when we go back into what we did here, no, it's app layer, right? App domain, data star app, and we did the construction. I noticed that I had put a 10-second sort of timeout here. Now, Mohammed, who was online at the time, I think it was Mohammed, said to me, Bill, there's a 10-second thing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, that's fine, Mohammed. I mean, that should be related to client connections, right? But then that was a stupid assumption for me because technically this probably, if it's about a client connection, should have had a context here, and it doesn't.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
The context is on new. How would I think at all at any level that a context set to any sort of time period would cause some pain on new, right?
Yeah.
And so, there's the problem here. So for whatever reason, this code has a go routine that calls shutdown the moment this context is done. And the 10-second timeout was causing it. What's also bad is none of the APIs were failing, not telling us that the context was closed.
Yep.
You see all the fraud and bad API design this is?
Yep.
Because this wasn't clear that it would shut down. I don't even know why we would do this. That should be done with a close, not like done here. So this to me is bad design. And then like if I'm going to create it, then let me close it. I love having close here. But that shouldn't auto-magically just shut down. So there shouldn't be a context in here at all. And the fact that this is shut down, all the other API calls should have said the server shut down, the server shut down. Then we would have seen it like immediately.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
But we kept thinking that the API calls were fine because nothing was failing. And so when I talk about API design that has misuse or fraud, this is like a perfect example sort of that, right? There's a lot going on here that's bad, You're basically forcing me to pass in a context like this to keep the system up.
Got it. Okay.
Now, if this was being used at a request level, then when the client disconnected, that could sort of shut down. But that's not what we're doing here. So, all right. But the bottom line now is with that little fix, okay, if I go back to our terminal here, just create another one. There we are. And we run the cap here, make run cap. All right. And we do the make run data star. All right, and I open up the browser to localhost 337. There's all those messages, but now it's changing.
Got it. Okay.
Because the NATS signaling is sort of, it's working now, right? the NATS. Oh, actually, it'd be down here in this service. We're getting that signaling now, which is good, right? I mean, that's what we wanted. So this UI now, thanks to the NATS, is working. We explored sort of all of that on the last show, so we don't really have to explore that again. And so I think, Kevin, what would be nice is that when you have time, you can continue to develop out the Datastar UI. I'm going to stay focused on the TUI for now, and at least on the show, continue to develop that.
Yeah.
And then maybe one day it would be nice to do a vanilla JS version of that as well, right? And maybe even leverage some of the same ideas. I don't know. But I do want to get to this because I would argue now that this is done.
Yep.
It was done. And dude, all that code we wrote for almost 2.5 hours, just, I mean, other than that damn context.
It was right there. Yeah, it was right there.
It was right there. But why were we successful in doing that? Because we had a good, strong mental model of how that code worked.
Yes.
We knew the different parts. And so this is why I keep focusing on mental models, dude, over and over and over again. They're going to help you find the bugs without the debugger. They're going to help you make a refactoring change like this. And it worked the first time, or at least damn close.
Yeah,
right?
it was there. It was
right. And you've seen me do this several times in your lifetime.
Yep.
But it's not an accident, man. It's because I spend time here, right? Like my brain had all of this sort of visually wired in. I can't remember what I ate yesterday, but I got this in my head.
But you remember the diagram.
No, these semantics are imprinted into my head. But you asked me what I ate yesterday, and I can't tell you. It's just weird, man. My brain is just like crazy. So we've got that. So what I thought is I do want to spend some time thinking about getting rid of NATS at the cap, like above the cap level.
Okay.
But I think what would be more fun right now is to sort of work on this sort of AI agent mode, where I can switch my UI into agent mode, and you can talk to an LLM.
See, I think that's going to be really cool.
That's going to be fun.
I want to see how that gets
Now,
integrated.
again, a big focus on every engineering decision we make is about trying to stay decentralized,
Yes.
right? And so if we need an LLM and we want to stay decentralized, I can't ask everybody that's watching to go get an OpenAI ID or even a prediction guard, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have to run this thing locally. And so this is where Ollama is going to come in. So let's do a couple things here in the make file. Actually, I'm going to bring up, because we're going to need it at some level, I think. There is a public repo called AI Training. And the AI Training repo has all of the little programs I wrote initially, examples, when I was learning all this stuff about vector databases and LLMs. And it's this work that allowed us to write the Connect 4 app.
Got it.
That everybody sees. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Connect 4 app, right? I love this now. When I go to conferences, I put this out on the table with my laptop. So if you go to Ardan Labs AI, we've got these different apps that Kevin and I have built. The Connect 4 does require a login. So you can just register for code and always use it, or you can connect through the, whatever you call that, OAuth stuff. Yeah. But I have this here. So this is the Connect 4. And the idea is you're playing Connect 4 against an LLM. You are playing against an LLM in the sense of the vector database, right? Because you need an LLM to create an embedding, and we're really doing similarity searches. The fact that the LLM picks the move from that set is, I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing against an LLM. It was just a matter of how did we teach the LLM how to be intelligent, right?
Yes.
So you can see here I've started a game. And this is all vanilla JS code with some phaser IO.
With phaser, yep.
Which was nice. But the JavaScript here is really, really simple, right? It didn't need to be more simple. But let's see. There was a bug. Oh, no, you see, there it is. I found a bug when I was in the Czech Republic where it allowed a user to get 3 in a row. without the
Oh,
ends, but I wasn't paying attention, so I couldn't get to the data fast enough. But if you play this, you'll see here that we're doing LLM calls to get embeddings. We've made the AI sarcastic, so it kind of talks to you. Here's some debugging data, but this is all AI stuff, right? It's all
yep.
LLM work. And so the code that the initial code for this game here was developed via this AI training. So it kind of walks you through a little bit. Now, obviously, it took us months, and not full time, 40 hours a week, but months
Yep.
to figure out how to make this LLM more intelligent. I mean, LLMs aren't intelligent at all, but
A lot of
to give
removing.
it some intelligence. Plus, you guys made it
Yeah,
dumber
a
the
lot of
more
removing bad
you were
words.
testing it, so that wasn't good. But I opened up this project because I need the Ollama stuff. So I'm gonna add to our install here Ollama in case somebody doesn't have it already. I have it. In fact, I haven't run Brew in a bit. I heard there was a new version of Brew, by the way.
Oh, I might have to do an update.
Let me see, Brew version. I don't know. I'm gonna do a Brew update just while we're doing this, just in case there's a new Ollama that I want to run. I don't know. I thought I saw on X that there was a new. So I've got Brew 4.4.31. I don't know what the latest one is, but you can see here there's a new Encore, new Ethereum, a new Cube Control, which I need. Look,
Ollama.
new Python stuff, new, yeah. So I'm gonna do a Brew upgrade. We'll just make sure we run the latest, greatest stuff. I don't know how to update Brew itself. I don't know if there's a way to, Brew upgrade CLI. I don't know. Yeah, unless it just even the upgrade would do that, but that was like 13 years ago. You know, see how old this is here, right? But I don't know. Brew, look at that Brew docs. None of that's helping me at all.
Brew upgrade did it for me.
It did what?
It updated Homebrew.
Oh, so you changed the version? So you're at 4.5 now?
Yeah, 4.5.
Let me see. So Brew version.
All right. Yeah, I did Brew upgrade.
Oh, yeah, it upgraded it.
Okay.
Oh, sweet. So, yeah, this new version just came out.
Mm-hmm.
But now we've got the, I got the latest Ollama and everything too, right?
Yep.
So AI training. So we're going to be running Ollama. We've got to choose a model that we're going to use for this, okay? So you could see from my training, from the training repo, I've been playing with this as an embedding model. This is an envision model. But I think the Llama 3.2 is probably good enough for what we want. Yep. So I'm gonna just bring this command in here just so we have it, and I'm just gonna clean this up here. We're not gonna do any embedding right now. Now you could go to the Ollama website, and there'll be a section here where you can see the models that are there. And like, we don't need embedding or vision models here. These are the popular ones. And the Llama ones come from Meta. Now look, there's a Llama 3.3 now that's available, right? I was playing with the 3.2. And then if you don't specify the number of parameters, there's a default one, which looks like that's the 3 billion, right? 1 billion or 3 billion. You can specify like a colon 1B or 3B here.
Okay.
But it looks like there's a 3.3 model now, and the default is the 70B. So that's sort of interesting. So maybe we'll see how long. Well, everybody's going to have to pull it down anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So what we could do is, choose that one. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to also, this is in USDL now. So what I can do here is I can say make Ollama pull. Now, I didn't start it yet, did I?
No.
So I've got to start it. So to start it, I'm going to do a couple of things. You see I have the Ollama up in the Ollama logs.
Yep.
Okay, so I like specifying where, so that's all. Let me do this here. We'll add a Ollama section, right? All right. Okay, so I like specifying exactly where I want the models downloaded at a project level. If you don't do that, it will put it in a central place under your like Mac OS, like one of those special folders for your stuff, right? But what I'm going to do is say put this under Zarf Ollama model. So we'll see that here. And then I just got to, yeah, everything under Zarf is like not going, like you don't want to push this to your repo. These are big files, okay?
Yeah.
But, and you can see here, actually, this is funny, right? Because this would be the sort of global location off your user root, .ollama it would be. So that wouldn't, and maybe the logs still go there, even though the models are here. It's probably what's happening, why that's there, right? Any logs are going. But, right, that means you're on a Mac side. That's your user.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to just keep everything local here also so we can see it. And then we do the serve. So if I do the Ollama up. Now, when I do the Ollama serve, it's going to hold it here running, okay? I'm not running it in the background. I could, and then I can like manually kill it. But I think it's fine for us to sort of just run it. And you'll see that it's mainly a web server that can load the different models that we have. Now, we don't have a model yet for this, right? So now I'm going to do the make, what did I call it? Make Ollama pull.
Okay.
All right. So now it's bringing down this 42 gig model. You can even see in the logs for Ollama that it's like gotten that web call, right? And it's doing all that. Now, luckily I'm on a faster internet, even though we're streaming all the upload here. So as this is sort of going, we'll come back to the other things. So you're going to need to do this as well at some point. Let's put, since we're on the same network, let's just leave it, let this sort of go. On the other project, I had the Llama 3.2. Now, that's a nice reason to have a global space for it.
Okay.
Because what I'm doing is I'm loading it maybe multiple times for different projects.
Yeah.
But from a training perspective, I like to see like, right, what's sort of being created. And so I kind of like to do this from a training perspective. But if somebody's watching, right, you don't have to specify where it's going. You just do the Ollama serve and pull, and it will, I think everything will go in this sort of location. Okay, so now while we're downloading this model that we need, and we're keeping the Ollama running there. I don't think I need anything else here. Now, this actually is a really cool product. It's called Open Web UI. And what the Open Web UI is, it gives you a nice sort of chat interface that can connect to Ollama and allow you to like run any. In fact, let's do that too. I'm going to bring in the Open Web UI, but that's going to run through a Docker container. So what we're going to need to do here is, I think I have a compose. So you see this compose for the training. It has Postgres and Mongo and then the Open Web UI.
Yeah.
Now, and I did that here because I needed all these services sort of running. But honestly, all we need sort of running is the Open Web UI here. So I could do this with the compose, which makes it easy to just do compose up and down. So why don't we do that and we'll just clean that up. So I'll do copy here. I'm going to get rid of server. I don't need you up. It's just slowing me down. And then under Zarf, so now I was like getting rid of everything here, right? But now if I do this, I'm going to have Docker and I'm going to have paste here for the compose. So I'm going to have to change this now to say no cap, no data, and no Ollama, right?
And why specifically now rather than
in
how it
client.
was before?
Because I'm adding the Docker folder there and I want that to be part of the
Oh,
project.
okay. Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to do that. So these stay gray, but I want this to still be part of the project. And at least for what we're doing right now, and I highly recommend don't running Ollama in Docker because it will have a very hard time finding your GPU, or at least it does for me. I couldn't get Ollama running in Docker to access my GPU, but when I run it locally, it always does.
Gotcha. Okay.
Delaney just asked if we're okay. Yeah, Delaney, our refactor worked. I had a context timeout issue on the creation of the NATS stuff, but the entire refactor using our web framework and organizing that within the scope of my project structure and the make file and stuff worked beautifully. So we've got the ability to now sort of work on and extend that and continue to learn more there as well. So all that work you did with us for, what was it, 2 weeks straight?
Yeah, I think it was 4 episodes.
Yeah, all came together. So if you pull latest on that USDL, you'll see sort of the cleanup that we did, man. I'm part of the Data Star cult. I can only be part of the cult if you send me a T-shirt or something. I'm just saying, unless you have swag, man. All right. So I just wanted to show everybody this open WebUI, and we can start there connecting it to Ollama. So making tracksuits now. Oh my God. Then I need a gold chain, dude. You can't have tracksuits without the big, I'm half Italian, Delaney. I'm a Sicilian, man. We're going to do this. We're going to do it right. Okay. So what we also then need is this image too, right? To make that. So I'm going to come here and we're going to need let's say a Docker command here too. That would be Docker pull that, right? So we'll have that as well. Now, I think I already have it, but I'm just going to run it anyway, right?
Okay.
While that's running, let's create another window here. USDL. I'll let that continue to go here. And I've got the Docker pull. So some of it already did exist, but it looks like there's some updates now. So we'll get that going. And then that will let us run that. I need the compose though, right? From the make file to make that happen too. So my guess is I have a compose up, down, down, right? So let's add that. That's the Ollama stuff. Let's add a open web UI. So this is for the open web UI stuff. Okay. And we might add more stuff to this later, so we can just sort of do that. So I've got the compose. We've got that. I'm still waiting for my Docker image. So everybody that's watching, once I push this, right, you're going to come back into this sort of install sort of section here, right? Our installation is not a bad word, right? And we're going to install that tooling. We've got to do the Docker stuff to pull that down. Then you got to do you can't do the Ollama pull until you've got an Ollama up, right? So maybe we'll just keep that there. But we can do that stuff. And then you also would need now the compose up, compose down. That should be good. So, okay, so the image is now down, right? I'm going to do a Docker system prune. I like doing that. I've cleaned up my list of images recently. Docker images. So you can see it's pretty clean. This is the service stuff.
I probably need to do that on my machine.
That I teach. Yeah, just make sure you have time, because if you haven't done it in a long time, it could get ugly.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. You're going to get a lot of disk space backed up. But we've got the open WebUI thing now, right? So that's kind of cool. So maybe what I'll do here is I've got Ollama here, right? I'll just split that window. So Ardan, USFL. And now what I can do is run our make compose up, and that should bring up the WebUI. So that's now sort of running here. I'm not running anything in the background, right? I'm kind of tying it to little windows. So we've got Ollama running here. And because I'm not running it in Docker, you might be saying, Bill, can't you run that in Docker? Oh, that was logs from the, here it is. If we were to read this carefully, we should see that it found the GPU and stuff. Remember, I'm running on a Mac 3, but it knows it's running on Metal, and I don't know. I'm just looking at it while I'm waiting for some other things to finish, but that's okay. So we're like 70% done here. I've got Open WebUI here. Now, what that would mean then is that the Open WebUI is now up and running on port 3000 here. Okay, so I could just go to 3000. I don't have a model yet, but I can come here on 3000 and how cool is this, right?
That's awesome.
So we now have a chat UI that can connect to, that has connected to Ollama. Okay, and you see it talk to Ollama. I found it. We don't have models yet, so I'm still waiting for this model to download. Then we refresh that,
and it'll already populate.
And then we could start playing, talking to the Llama 3.3 model here, and start playing a little bit with the prompt ideas. Now we're not going to be doing much. We're not going to do any RAG where we're feeding it some things, but we're going to start simple where we're just using it. But there's nothing stopping us from at some point developing a profile on me.
Yeah.
Right? A profile about who I am, how I talk, and feed that every time we're going to, give a response, right? Make that part of the prompt. And the funny thing is then you could be anybody you want, right? Because we could create a profile of the Unabomber, let's say, right? And now you're talking to the Unabomber or something, right? But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, you can.
And we could experiment a little bit with that too, right? What might be interesting is asking Llama 3 to create a profile of some person,
and then
using that to say, hey, answer these questions based on you being this, being this person and see if the responses change.
That would be cool.
Like, we should play with that. And here's the thing is, until we feel like we've got a prompt that's working, there's no reason to start trying to integrate it now into the code. Because you can do all the integration and then the prompt isn't working. The OLM isn't working. And then who cares? It's not cool, right? But you've seen what I've done so far, right? I got the Ollama running locally. I've got Open Web UI running through Docker. I wish this could run through Docker and I could put it all in the same compose. But like I said here, no, that's the only thing I see, GPU there, which overhead is 0. I would have swore, I'm just looking at this because we got 92%. I would have swore that when I looked at the logs for this, there were more details at the time. Maybe they changed the logging level or something on this. I do see Metal, which is good, but it would also sometimes tell me that it knows it's running on Darwin, but that's the cap stuff. So I'm going to do this I'm going to kill this for a second. Oh, shoot, I'm looking at the screen here locally. Clear at the window and then do an Ollama up again. So I think this is done. So if I do Ollama list, no, it's not done yet.
No, it was at 97.
I know, but I feel like it died. Oh, it died because I'm an idiot. So, damn it, dude. When I reset that, it
stopped that also.
Of course, because the server was down. Actually, it did that really nicely, but it should pick up where it left off. So, yeah, it's picking up where it left off. What? Oh, dude, I'm such an idiot.
Oh, no.
No, that's got to be faster. All right. Well, Hey, you live in life. All because I wanted to look at these logs a little bit more. And I'm not really, I just remember back in the day seeing that it was using. So maybe there's another level log or something that they've sort of knocked down.
And it would tell you like the usage of your GPU, or just tell
It
you.
would tell me that
the-
it's connected to the GPU
Okay.
as opposed to not. And I cannot believe that that had to start over because such an idiot. Yeah, maybe I can ask Ollama help. So flags, not really giving me much here, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, because what command am I using again when I bring up Ollama? I'm using serve, right? So maybe sometimes you can do Ollama help serve. Yeah, look, serve. Ollama help serve. So these are all the environment variables, I guess. They don't have
GPU, no.
I cannot believe I had to start over on that damn poll. You got to be kidding me. You would think that that was in parts, right? So bad bill. Oh, here it is. Ollama debug. And if we look here, Ollama debug is probably set to false.
False.
So I would argue then, yeah, I wonder if I can. This is always hard, man, to remember on the file how to do that. Debug, I guess, is true. I really don't want to start it again until that's down, but oh, Ollama debug equals 1. So that would give me more information, but I'm not going to run that until this pull is done.
Okay.
So you can, I cannot believe it, dude. And that's what I wanted. You would think that these models are coming down in file layers like the Docker does.
And it would save wherever you were at before.
Yeah, and then, all right, so lessons learned there. So, but what I can do at least is push this code up. Git add all. All right, git add all. Git add all. Git add. Dude, you can't be like, I'm just adding it locally, man. Like, what the heck? Is anything that big? Git status. Okay, hold on a second. I mean, maybe it was bad. So, change directory to zarf. Git status. The only thing it should be adding under zarf is
Docker.
Oh, that was bad. I'm a bad person. All right, zarf. Yeah, because I like also putting all that inside the project. So if I want to delete it.
Oh, you can just remove it right from there.
Yeah. Instead of like trying to search for it. I like everything in the project, bro. That's sort of the bottom line. So that's the problem with the ad. I had to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just me, man. I like working from the root. I like having everything at a finger's touch, especially like databases and stuff, because maybe you just want to delete it and start over, right?
Yep. It's a lot faster to do that than go digging.
Yeah, you just can't make that mistake like I made. But that's why it's like, why is that taking so long, right? So this is much better. I just want to do git ignore cat make file docker compose. So git commit -am. This is the Ollama stuff. Git push. So everybody will have that now. So while dude, I want to just shoot myself right now, man. What I might do. So look, maybe I can do this to speed up our lives here. You see how I've got Ollama here already?
Yep.
And I got, I don't know. It would be nice if I could just copy that over, but I don't know what would happen if I did that. just to sort of speed things. Like I don't know what blobs I need. You can see there's nothing under manifests right now.
What is the blobs?
Dude, I have no idea.
It's
bro.
just some.
I thought the blobs would be like the different layers or something we were downloading, right? But
That's an interesting name for it.
it's almost like if I do this nasty thing right now, what would happen? That was under manifests, right?
Oh boy.
No, there was a big deal.
We always have undo.
Now, look, now if I do a, oh, dude, it's not like production, man. So I I probably have to restart it
For it to recognize.
like recognize it or something, man. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. There's nothing I can do right now to speed this up. Okay,
No.
It is what it is.
Like mowing the lawn.
Yeah, this is like mowing the lawn, man.
You can't.
How big was this model again? 70B is a 70B. You should be able to run locally. You should be able to run a 70B locally. Like the 405B on my machine, no, that won't work.
So is that like the size or how much?
That's how many parameters it
Okay.
has. Like 70 billion is really reasonable for production level stuff.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll use a smaller one. So like for dev, depending on what you're doing, right? The 3B model may not be significantly different, let's say more accurate than the 70B, depending upon what you're doing.
Okay.
But normally in production, even with the Connect 4, I was using the 8B until we started running it on VLLM, and then it started misbehaving. So I switched to the 70B.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes the bigger the model, the slower it can be, depending on how it's being installed and run in those production environments, right?
Got it. Okay.
So sometimes the smaller parameters, like a 3 billion, if it gives you the accuracy that you need, there's no reason to go larger because you're just spending more time essentially getting the same result.
Got it. Okay.
Right?
And the model, that would mean the model itself is bigger. It takes up more space.
Yeah, it needs more memory. It runs, right, more parameters, more stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why they produce these smaller ones. And the world is trying to get to these smaller ones that, right, even at some point now that run just as well on CPU as opposed to GPU, just to make it cheaper and faster to do all this stuff, right?
Got it.
So this experiment where we're wasting all this time going for 3.3, which is our state of the art, right? Where the smallest option is 70B. We'll see how it runs when we get it here. I might switch back to the 3.2 if it's. We're gonna know immediately. Okay. We would have known already if I didn't restart Ollama, because that's sadly what I did. Okay, but let's see if I need anything else from. I don't think I need anything else from here right now. And when I start stealing code, yeah, we'll probably steal code from here. So we'll leave this. I'll leave this project open. But if you go to, while I'm still waiting here.
And this is the project we did the YouTube series on, right?
Oh, yeah. We did the YouTube series on this one. So while we're waiting for all this to download, if you go to AI training, okay, that's the public repo with all the different under command examples. I always put all my documentation in the make file. It drives Ed crazy, but I don't know, dude. I like living in the make file. And then you're right. We had the Ardan Labs YouTube. And I hate that this is gonna play something. All right, good. So go to playlists.
Yep.
Here.
Right there.
View full playlist. So these are all the videos we did step by step. I did add a 9. Wait, that's 8. Yeah, I added a 9 now, which we didn't do a training for. Well, I don't have to show it here. I could show it here. I did a 9 now too. That what does it do again?
3.2 vision.
Oh, it shows you how to use the vision model to generate an image description, and then we edit the EXIF information in the image.
Okay.
So you can open up the image and see a description, sort of what it is. This was another demo I thought about putting on Ardan Labs AI.
Yeah, I think you.
But I don't know if it's that sexy, man. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like I don't think is that much of a technical challenge anymore, like for this sort of stuff. So I've hesitated to put it up as sort of as a demo. Anyway, I'm going to leave this open here. And I've pushed all this up. So everybody at home could start, they could run their Ollama, they could run their WebUI, they could start their pull, which we're finally pretty close. I'm going to be really sad if this runs sort of slow. I got a lot of power on the machine though. So though I haven't tried to run about this Mac, I've got 96 gig of memory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it should be fine for this. We're going to find out real soon though.
I didn't even know they went to 96.
No, the
gigs on
M4s have more than that. I think the M4s have like 120 something.
Wow. I don't even
Yeah.
know. I gotta see. Yeah, I have 36.
Yeah, you got 36.
Wow. Oh.
Allie's got the, or this might be the M2. And Allie's, I got an M3 and I gave it to Allie. So she could, because she was doing more UI graphic stuff. Like I didn't need all that extra power there. I had no idea it was going to take this long. My network here, which is on AT&T fiber, just hasn't felt sort of fast anymore. I don't know. I've reset the router twice.
That's how I'm starting to feel with mine at home. I forgot what we have, but it's not as fast as it used to be. I don't know.
But every time I check the speed, I think it knows I'm doing speed checks. And it just goes, you're running at like 400 like meg, right? And I'm like, dude, come on, man.
There's no way.
You're like detecting that I'm running a speed check and you're just like lying to me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. We did this to somebody one time. This is bad story, bad Bill, younger Bill. This guy that worked with me was annoying me. So I wrote a little program when he wasn't looking that I installed on his Windows machine as a service that said like MS SQL Server. And I could open up a socket connection to it. And I could like turn his screen around on him. I could open up a browser tab to any site I wanted. But my favorite one was I could burn the CPU. So I could get the CPU to get to 100. And the service was able to detect when he opened up that Windows program that shows you all the services.
Okay.
I forgot what it's called, man. It was so long ago.
I haven't done Windows.
But like on Mac, it's called Activity Monitor. So whatever the equivalent is on Windows, when he would open that up, it would detect that he opened it up and drop the CPU again. So, dude, for like 2 weeks, he couldn't understand what was going on in the machine. And then when his boss would go by, I'd open up a tab to like some bad site. No, dude.
Evil
No,
Bill.
this was evil Bill, man. But it was so easy to do stuff like that in Windows. That guy took his entire, these were desktop machines. I remember he took the entire machine apart, power supply and everything, put it back together. And when he did that, I let him like win for 3 days. I made him feel like for 3 days he solved it, and then it started.
Oh my God, you were giving that guy nightmares.
No, dude, it was bad. It was bad. That was bad, Bill. Okay, Ollama list. Okay, so we finally have the latest 3.3 now, right? It's in that list for the pull. So if I now go back here and I hit refresh, now we've got latest 3.3. Okay. So let's see how fast this is right now. I'm not going to restart Ollama and do that, but we'll have it for next time. So how can I help you today? How can we just test something real quick? Tell me about how I don't know, compilers work.
Yep.
So this to me is like super slow, right? Like,
yeah.
Look what it's saying here now that we ran it.
Oh, GPU.
This is what I was looking for, but I guess I had to like run it first to do that. So you can see that it identified I'm on an Apple Max 2. There's a GPU family. And now it's finally sort of, so this feels super slow to me. Again, like maybe we would have been better off using the 3.2 model, but now that it's sort of warmed up, Maybe I'll try another question, right? So like if we were doing a chat, right? I could say something like, "Hi, how are you today?" I don't know how to stop it from running.
Right here. No.
Oh, stop. Okay, stop that. So, hi, how are you today? So, my guess is it just needed to warm up.
Okay.
Sort of that first time where it like came in and loaded the model up, and because that's pretty fast, right? So,
Yeah,
hi, I'm just a
now
language model. I don't have feelings or emotions like humans do. Okay, so this is sort of the problem that we're going to have because I don't want.
you don't need all of that.
It's not even that. I don't want it to say it's a language model, right?
Okay.
So we sort of need a prompt, right? So let's do the following anyway in our project here. And right now I can just do it under Zarf or something. I need a prompt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me add a folder called prompts for now. This is not where we're going to end up keeping them, but prompts, a new file, prompt.txt, right? So already we can start playing with this a little bit, right? I'm just a language model, so I don't have feelings or emotions like humans do. But so I want to ask it again, how are you doing? And I want it to pretend that it's
pretend it's a human.
So can you give me a profile for a person who works at the phone company? I don't know, dude. I'm just struggling right now, right? So here's a potential profile for a person who works. Okay, this is perfect. So we're going to add this to our prompt and see what happens.
Okay, so the model would be pretending to be that person.
That's the idea. Can we get the model
to pretend
that they are this person here, right?
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Seems like it's very...
If we used a smaller model, this would be faster, right? So using the 7dB, I think, was not a great idea. And I think if we want to speed some things up today, I could switch back to the Llama 2 one. All right. So like Ollama pull, let it pull this. And you'll see even
with, this one's way smaller.
Yeah, it's way small, right? This is the one that I should have used originally. So I'm going to add that to our makefile, I think, instead. Just stick with the Ollama 3.2, right? See how much, and you'll see, I don't think the answers are going to be that, for what we want to do.
For just conversation,
it's going to be just as good. And this is better for everybody that's watching.
Now, would this make the responses shorter because it's just less of a, there's less parameters?
Not necessarily. Okay. Not necessarily. It's about accuracy versus other things. So I'm going to do the following. Let this finish. I don't want it to load the Llama 3 again, so I'm going to reset our server. All right. I'm going to reset our server. And this time, when I do that, I'm going to refresh. Oh, wait, I don't want to lose this, though. So let me take... So now, is there a way to just copy that?
Yep,
copy. Right. Okay. So let me put this in our... put this in our prompt file for a second. We're going to work with this content here. But I want to refresh. Actually, I want to refresh everything. Oh, did I get rid of the 0?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Refresh everything. Now we've got both L2, L3, and what I didn't want it to do is load the 3.2, right? So let's just see how much faster this one is, right? All right. Can you give me a profile for someone who works at the phone company? 10,000 times faster, right?
Way faster.
Yeah, because the other one requires just so much more memory and everything. So I'm going to do the following. Let's do a get status first. This is why I always do a get status. Okay, I'm not ready to do the prompt, but git commit SAM, just update the make file. So instead of using the 3.3 on our little machines,
3.2.
we'll just use the 3.2 as I should have from the beginning. And I'm going to copy this, and you can see, and again, unless this isn't being accurate enough or it's not following instructions well enough, then we would want to go higher.
Yeah.
There's a good chance if you can get this one working, then the 7dB will work as well, though you have to test again, and you may feel some better results. So what happens is these calls are expensive. It's nice to do as much development as you can locally. The problem is that if your production environment doesn't use the same exact models that you can use here,
it'll throw it all off.
well, once you start using the other models, you're going to have to make tweaks again. And you may have spent hours, if not days, tweaking something here to get it to work here, and then it doesn't necessarily work there. So I think you could get the 80% done here, but that remaining 20% has to be done on the actual model. And then when they decide to deprecate that model and you bring another one in, you cry because
you have to do it again.
now, even if you're in the same family of models, that stuff could change, right? So so let's go here. So here's a sample profile. So maybe we change this to say, you are a customer service representative at the phone company, right?
Yeah.
Use the following profile. Use the following. See, this is like, what word should we use, right? Use the following information, or
I would say like context, like profile or context.
Okay, use the
maybe.
following context about who you are to answer the question below. Okay. So we can now what we can do is we can say this is context. Okay. And then maybe what we do is we say question, and then that will be whatever question we want to add to this. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see what happens now when we do this. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come back to our current thing. I want to clear all this out.
There should be not a
even the controls here I have, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. New chat. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and the question is, how are you today? So let's see what happens now.
But
look at that right there.
Perfect.
You see that? It didn't turn around now and say, hey, I'm an LLM. It's now, right? We've had a few interesting calls already today, but so far, like, how cool is that? So based on this profile so far, this isn't the one I want to use for us yet. But
yeah, we have to make the profile basically.
No, well, I think I can still get, remember the LLM has information in it up till probably about 2023, like 2023.
Okay.
But let's just play with this for a little bit more, okay? Like I'm talking to this person, right? They have this sort of profile. So is there anything I can assist you with today regarding your phone service plans? So yeah, my phone stopped working and I don't know what to do. Now, we're going to be having all this chat history, right, related to this next question, which is something we're going to have to code.
Yes.
As you're aware of. But this is really cool, right? Because it was able to leverage the context. Okay. Now, let's say that now this time I'm going to do this. Create a profile on William Kennedy from Ardan Labs in Miami, Florida. So I have enough content and stuff out there that it might potentially be able to pull from. Okay, so it didn't find anything there. Well, it did and it didn't it? Couldn't find information on William Kennedy from Ardan Labs. This is a policy person, not a public figure. Okay.
Create a fictional.
Okay, so that was definitely fictional.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's use Bill Kennedy. Sometimes it might be. And if not, it just doesn't have enough history, right? I think there's a question you can ask, like, what is the question you can ask the LLM to say? What is the date for the information you have available? Something like that, and it will tell you. So my training data is 2023, right? Now, it does know about Ardan Labs. What do you know about Ardan Labs in Miami, Florida? See, that's now, if I do this on like the Gemini models and stuff, I do get some.
Okay.
Now, maybe this is a function of this just being a smaller model that we're pulling down.
It doesn't have
if
that
I
much.
do the Llama 3.3 at 70B, which I don't want to load in memory right now. Well, I could. We can just restart it. Then maybe it. So let me do that. I'm going to say new chat. What do you know about Ardan Labs in Miami, Florida? Let's see if this does. Okay, so none of that really mattered, right? Oh, wait, I didn't switch to 3.3. I think when I said new chat, it put it back.
Because it's... Okay, right. Now.
What do you know about? Like I said, if I do this on the Gemini...
So it's just different models being trained on different data.
Different data, and then I don't know when they bring this down if they're even... Like you can see how slow this is, right? We can't use this. I'm going to have to restart Ollama just to pull that out of memory. I'm just curious if this model at 3.3 has some of that. Okay, so look.
Yep.
So you can see here, this one has information about us, right? Where the smaller one didn't. So who is Bill Kennedy at Ardan Labs in Miami, Florida?
That's pretty cool that you're on an LLM.
It's just because there's enough. I've been publishing content for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, but you see, right? Like the Gemini would give me this here, right? And so now at least what I could do here is the following, all right? Here, 3.3. Create a personality profile about Bill Kennedy from Ardan Labs in Miami, Florida.
Accurate.
Yeah, whatever. Wow. Just give it to me. So because I've got enough content out there and this larger model has information about Ardan Labs in it, now I'm letting the LLM do. You would have to manually, but you could use this as a template for your personality, right? So let's let this sort of finish. We'll copy this for our profile.
And feed it to the fast.
I'm going to restart Ollama and go back to using 3.2.
Yep.
Because you can see how slow this is. Because I don't need anything about Ardan Labs at this point. I just need it to like try to answer questions.
You can hear the fans on the laptop.
Oh, I know, my fan just went on.
I've never heard them ever turn on.
Dude, the fan never goes on, man.
Wow, I've never even heard it.
I didn't even like I would almost lose money that I had a fan in here. And I sit and watch, like when I'm traveling, I'm watching TV the whole night and videos and stuff on it. Oh man, fan is kicking in.
You're making it work right now.
Oh my God, it's hot too, bro. Give me an egg, man. We're gonna boil some eggs. Woo! How many people we got watching right now? We just like completely alone.
No.
No, I got eight people watching. All right, I just want all of this. Weakness, high standards. Oh my God, look at that. Damn, dude, I'm getting trashed by Ollama 3.3. Overemphasis on detail. That is hilarious, man.
This is actually super interesting to me.
This is super interesting.
How it's pulling all of this just from what's out there.
Oh my God, bro.
It seems like this model is definitely way more detailed just in the responses than 3.2. Like it's way
okay. Let's copy this. And I'm gonna take everything from here down. Okay, so you are Bill Kennedy from Ardan Labs in Miami, Florida.
To answer the question below.
Right? Here's the context. We don't care about that. Here it is. So we're going to have all of this sort of content now about my strengths and my weaknesses, and then we're going to have the question, right? Now, what I'm going to do, though, because this fan is like, woo, man, the fan is like going crazy here. I'm going to bring Ollama back up. I'm going to refresh.
I would have loved to have seen like the usage, like the memory usage during that.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see that. Okay, I'm going back to 3.2. So I've cleared all that memory. The fan is still going strong.
Recovering.
That's scary, bro. Okay, so I'm going to copy this back here. And then here's the question. How are you today? Let's say we just started that question, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for asking. It's always a great day when I get to work on something that excites me. So far, if I wrote all this, other than I don't say this much, right? I say this is way too much, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's
Said
go
you
back.
Spilled coffee over your notes for a meeting.
Okay, but I think what we have to do is use an answer below and keep your answers small and to the point. Like this is where we've got to play with, right? Keep your answers small and to the point, or keep your answers small and let's see if that changes anything, right? So I'm going to work with this at this point. Like we don't have to do anything more here. We've got something that I think is decent on 3.2. Hey Bill, how are you today? Now you see
much more concise.
So you might think that's me a little bit. I mean, it's a little like,
yeah, it still feels very AI to me.
Because it feels really like high key. I'm just low key a little bit more, right? Like I don't know if it knows the word. Keep your answers small and to the point, and don't like it's like energy,
right? Maybe if you tell it like try to humanize, like humanize your answers,
what I wanted to say is like to keep the energy levels low on your answers, right? Keep your answers short instead of small, right? Short and to the point, and
neutral in a neutral tone,
and in a neutral tone. Did I spell neutral right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's just try this one more time, and then we're going to get to the code. Just to try it one more time. All right. So, hey Bill, how are you today? Okay. See, that already is
Yeah,
much
it's getting
better.
closer.
So now what you're seeing is prompt engineering at some
Mhm.
level, right?
Yeah.
How do we adjust the prompt to get? And so one of the comments I made recently on X and Blue Sky was this idea of needing a very large error budget.
Okay.
So there's a concept. I don't know if you've ever heard of error budgets before, but you've heard of people saying that the system has to have 5 nines.
5 nines.
What it means is it has to be up, not 100% of the time, but
okay.
but 99.9999, right? 5 nines.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
but if you don't have to be up 100% of the time, it's just 5 nines, right?
Mhm.
0.999. That means you have an error budget. You
Got
do
it.
have a window every month, every year where it can be down.
Got it.
Because if they said you have to have 100%, you can never be down.
Yeah.
But if it's 5 nines, then there is a sort of error budget of time.
Mhm.
I wonder if someone's like calculator, right? So what is the error budget of, like, how many hours do you get, right?
Maximum amount of time a technical system can fail. Okay.
So that's a rate of 1%, right? 1 in every 10,000, right? So this is your error budget, right? What it's saying is that we don't expect you to be at 100, but we expect that you only have this one failure in every 10,000 requests.
And this is on like a contract level.
This is like a company level. Like you're going to publish an SLA because somebody's paying you money, or in this case, they're calling it a service level objective, right?
Yep.
And the idea is somebody's paying you money, so you have to guarantee a level of service, and you're going to guarantee 5 nines. Then what you're guaranteeing is that they're only going to see a failure in every 10,000 requests.
Got it.
And if you stay within that error budget, they can't complain. They can't ask for the money back. You're doing
Got it.
exactly what you said you would do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's always an error budget. The question is, how much of an error budget do you have? And we would love for all of our services sort of have this level of success. And I think for the web service and stuff that we build, unless other systems that we're dependent upon go down, we do that. But I think when it comes to these LLMs and these responses, I think your error budget has to be much larger, right? Like, I don't know if I just said I needed 1 9, right? I don't even know what that is, right? Not even like 90%, right? I have a 10% sort of error budget. I would almost want the 10% error budget if I was depending on the LLM to...
Because that would also count like with an undesired response. That would count towards your error.
Yes, it could, right? Because it's the output of the LLM. Maybe it didn't follow that instruction this time. And so Harrison, that's the number I was looking for, Harrison. So 5 nines is 7.2 minutes a day of downtime. That's sort of it. So you can see they're calculating it at a request perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can only have 10% of your requests over time sort of failing. This is 7 minutes there. Harrison does a lot of this stuff, so I'm really appreciative of that. But there's always an error budget. But for me, since you're relying on the output of the LLM, you're relying on it to take the instruction the same way. How many times when we were doing Connect 4, did it not return JSON?
Yeah,
or it returned bad JSON? Okay?
Yeah.
And then we couldn't fulfill the request.
Yep.
Okay. So error budgets, I think, become super important.
Got it. Okay.
Now, I sort of like this answer that we're getting now based on this prompt that we have, right? So what did you work on today? Now, it's all bullshit, right?
Yep.
But it's okay because it's sort of related to that. Now, I could say, hey, can you share, right? Now, we're going to rely on the model knowing Go. Can you share with me a little of the code let's say Go code you wrote?
And now it's gonna pull something from.
Of course, but it's Go, right? And here's this basic example, right?
Yeah.
But like, interesting, right? Like we can.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can play with it and
Even on this, okay. But it all begins sort of with this profile, right? I was just wondering, hey, can you share any? I'm curious about one thing before we start here, okay? I'm just curious about one more thing. Let me put it back in. Question. Hey, Bill, how are you? Let's just start here for a second. Hey, can you show me what code you were working on? Now, I don't want to say Go.
Yeah.
And I want to know if it pulls.
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
And there it is, right? So these things are, at some level, they're magical, right? They're able to find these patterns and contexts and put a bunch of stuff together. And
it's pretty cool.
And yeah, I would never write code like that, but whatever, right? Like this is good enough to, hey, where?
Like I would love to know if it can respond.
Where are you right now? Currently in Miami. Yeah, are you gonna argue with me there?
Yeah, it knows that from the profile.
Okay.
So like, I would like to see if it knows, if it can attempt to explain like something like, let's say, data semantics, like you would, based on content that's out there.
I would have to give it. So this is where I'd want to then connect the. This is where I'd want to now go and start using a vector database,
like the
with the Go notebook.
Yeah.
So then, if it asks questions about the Go notebook, it could then sort of.
It has that context, like of how just based on from like your
right.
content.
But now what I'd have to do is take the question, and part of the prompt would have to be, is this question in context of Bill's personality, or is it code related?
Got it.
Right?
Yeah. And so a technical no would go here. Yeah.
So like you'd have to say, yeah, is the following question in, I don't know what the word is, right? Question related to Bill's profile or code
or program, or programming,
right, or code. Let's just say code. How do you declare a variable in Go?
To my profile and expertise.
But that's not what I wanted, right?
No.
I would have had, this should have been a separate sort of prompt.
Yeah.
Now we can get there. Like we can expand on that.
Yeah.
But right now, I think we've got enough of a prompt to sort of integrate and play with this. And then we could start to have prompts that gave us really quick, is this related to the profile or code? And then when that LLM call comes back and says code, then we do the vector database search. And then so it's a multi-stage sort of thing, right? Where we always ask first, is this related to the profile or is this related to code? Now, here's the profile. Now, sort of do that, right?
Got it. Yeah.
So this is where all this like AI app development starts to get fairly complex, because you gotta.
Now you're kind of putting a prompt to another prompt to another prompt.
Based on that, it's now telling me what we're doing, and it's good at that. It can do that sort of work really nicely, but you can't do it all in one shot. You have to.
You have to break.
You have to have the workflows to sort of make that happen. But all I know right now is the following. I know I've got a prompt here that is working fairly well, right? So what I'm going to do, even though we're not going to necessarily leave it here, what I want to do for people who are playing at home, I'll add that, get commit minus our prompt. And anyone that's sort of playing at home, now you've done your Ollama, definitely use the 3-2 model at this point. we've got our WebUI here, and you can see how we're already sort of doing some development here by just getting something that's fairly good. Whew. Okay, now we got to think about. Let's draw some diagrams. Well, we're gonna visualize what we're trying to do here now. So I'm just gonna come in here. So let's think about what we're doing. Everything now that we're doing is on the front end side. Okay, it has nothing to do with CAP. Okay, it's front end side. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to focus on the TUI right now, right? And then we can integrate it back in. So we have our TUI, okay? And it provides the, in fact, you know, we can even maybe even draw the TUI out a little bit, right? So you've got your list of users, right? So we've got Bill, Kevin, right?
Yep.
Mohammed's not here today. Then we've got the sort of chat window, right? We had that chat window. That was cool.
Yep.
And then we had the, however we did it here. We had the, I don't remember, but
I think it was something like that.
Something like that, and a little button, right? So we've got the button here for submit. Okay. So what is it that we need to do now? So I want to put this in this sort of agent mode, right? This AI mode, which essentially means that when a response comes in, okay, we should fill in the answer here. So we should just put the LLM answer in here, okay? So we can just use this. And then just sort of hit the submit button from there, right?
But we still review it and hit the submit button.
No, bro.
It's going to submit on its
No,
own.
we're in agent mode, bro.
Oh.
I want to walk away. Look, you're talking to your boss and like something's going on and you don't want to feel like you're not there. You're going to switch it into agent mode with all the chat history. The full chat history's got to go along with it, right? Because there's all this chat history here. Now, there is a limit to the number of tokens that we can deal with. That's a problem that we can deal with later. But remember what we're going to have over here is that we're going to have Ollama running, right? So we're going to have Ollama running here. And what we're going to have is in the background, right, as part of this code that we already have, right? That's the UI part. Is we're going to write our AI agent, but it's going to not be a separate process. So when we use the word agent in this AI world, it usually means a piece of software that's running on its own and doesn't need any interactions from a human being.
Okay.
It takes some input, it produces some output. It could be, let's say it's usually implemented as some form of a long-running program. It could be a service, it could be a CLI, but it's just a long-running program that takes some sort of input and produces some output. Now, we're not going to run this as a separate process. We're going to integrate it sort of into this app already, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to build some sort of package that when we're in AI agent mode, it can interact with our UI just like a human being can. It replaces the human being. And so what I think is going to have to happen is the following. I think when we're not going to do anything on our own, right? And so what's going to happen is Kevin's going to send a message, okay?
Okay.
So let's just say that Kevin, you send message 1, okay?
Yep.
And honestly, at some point too, you may want to go back into history to feed it so it has context, because you might ask me a question from yesterday.
Yesterday, exactly.
You see how complicated this starts to get, and token sizes, but we're just going to get a basic version of this working. So message 1 comes in. Now, when message 1 comes in, okay, what we're going to have to do, I'm going to put this here, is somehow the agent is going to have to know. So
it's going to have to know you received the new message.
So let's just say it gets that message.
Yeah.
Now, once it gets the message, right, that's one. It's going to go to Ollama, and it's going to give Ollama, if it's the very first message, it's going to give it the prompt, okay, and the message that you've done. Then Ollama is going to return this. So we can sort of think of this as 1, 2, 3, right? Come back here. Then it's going to do this as, let's say, 4, just to make the UI feel like it's interactive. And then it's going to do 5.
So, okay, so it's going to have to recognize once the answer's done filling in and then submit.
Yeah, and it's got to know that it's only working with Kevin messages and not sort of Bill messages.
Exactly.
And then the same thing's going to happen again. A Kevin message is going to come in. And this is going to be 1. So this is what we have to build. So we're going to need to know the AI agent's going to have to integrate into this sort of UI to be able to get the message, or we're going to have to build an interface maybe where when the message comes in, the AI agent gets it. It knows how to populate here. And like, I don't know how to do any of this yet. I know what we have to do.
Yeah.
None of this seems like rocket science to me. It's just a matter of where do we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like where those integration points going to be.
We got it.
But I do know we're going to need the AI agent, and we're going to need to talk to Ollama. And talking to Ollama is not a big deal because there's a great Go package out there called LangChain Go that everyone knows. Now, you know, all these, Ollama is basically an open AI compatible service.
Okay.
So we could talk just HTTP to it if we wanted to.
Okay.
But LangChain already has an Ollama package that sort of does all that stuff, and it'll just be like nice and simple to just sort of use it. But there's no rocket science going on here. This is all HTTP.
And then it would also work with OpenAI if we want.
It is an OpenAI compatible. So I mean, when we looked at the Ollama stuff here, you saw 200, right? Post, right? It's an API chat. So it's an OpenAI compatible thing. Okay. So that's what we got to build, bro. We have enough now, I think, with a little bit of a prompt and the thing to make it work. Excited?
I think it's going to be awesome. I want to see how it turns out.
You want to see how it turns out. Unfortunately, I'm going to Brazil tonight. So.
Oh, you're flying at night?
Yeah, I always fly at night. So I land. When you got an 8-hour flight, the best thing to do is leave at night, sleep, and land in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
All sort of refreshed, right?
Makes sense.
Okay. So let's think about this for a second. The AI agent. I think this AI agent, is it a foundational package? Can we build it in a way where it could be reused by sort of anyone that wants to integrate an AI sort of agent in their chat systems?
See, that's tricky to me because the point of it being an AI agent is that it does its thing without our interaction also. So that would make it foundational. But is it going to be...
No, what makes it foundational is that we write it in such a way where there's no dependency on any of the other packages in this project.
Okay.
So there's no dependency on essentially anything in, well, not even here. So we already have a foundation package called client, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've already made this foundational, what we could do is just add, if we add the package to client, then it's super simple. So one thing is we add it outside of client. And we really separate it from whatever this client is. But I don't think we have to do that. We've already made client foundational by
So it could,
abstracting
yeah.
the other thing, right? To me, right,
we have,
we may
yeah.
need to extend, it's not even this, it's this UI interface, right? Where we're either going to need another interface for an AI agent interface. But I think what we can do is we've got these storage things, right? Agent. Now, we could do the same thing we sort of did with storage, right? We had this idea of storage. What we could do is define this idea that we could write different agents that talk to sort of different sort of systems, right?
Okay.
So what if I said agents, and then we added a specific agent related to...
Okay. I see.
I don't know yet, all right? But
yeah,
I don't know enough yet, but right, this could be our Ollama agent, right? Now, there's going to be an Ollama package, so we're going to have naming conflicts, right? So maybe what we want to do is Ollama LLM, just to give it like we do with everything else, like storage ends in, oh, here we did DB file, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we call this, you know, that's funny I called it DB file, because if you look at, if you look at service, we kind of did it in reverse for the domain stuff. So I'm just going to keep this as Ollama LLM. Okay. We could also call it Ollama and just get rid of vowels, right? But you see how A and A...
Yeah, it doesn't ring as nice.
No, or you just say agent Ollama.
Agent Ollama.
Right? It's just the name's getting long, but we can't really separate it.
Left the L there.
Oh, I did. All right. Agent Ollama. So, I mean, this is the other option. Just call it agent Ollama. We're going to have to prefix it in some form or another. I just hate when the name of something gets that long. Just really, really hate that. So I think what we can do right now is Ollama, even just LM, right?
Yeah.
For language model. Forget about the fact that it's a large language model for now. So Ollama LM, right? Let's just keep this for now. I think it's a good start. When we're done, we'll know more about provides a client to act as a user, to act as the user, right? In the
chat UI or
in the chat system or something. Now, you know, we're struggling here because we've called this not chat so much. We've called it a client.
Client.
Right?
Okay. Yes.
So in the client system. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. This may not work for what I want to do, because if I go back to client here for a second, right? This does ask the UI for this. It asks UI for this. It asks UI. We may have to register a handler that the UI calls to make the agent work. So again, this agent could be a separate package outside of this whole. I think that's what we're going to do, bro. I don't think it belongs
and just
here.
Separate the two things.
Yeah, I think we should not intermix these two ideas. This is the client, all the handshake stuff, right?
Okay.
And then we're going to have these agents that we're going to have. Now, I can argue now that I still think we can make this foundational, where it's not tied to anything, any specific UI.
Okay.
Through an interface. But we got to start building it, or we're not going to know enough yet. So let's do that. Let's just sort of separate it completely from here. Okay. So I'm going back to my diagram here. I know a couple of things.
Okay.
Right? Without even thinking too much. I know that I'm going to define a struct that's an agent, which will represent this agent. And if I go back and look at the AI training stuff, where I've got examples that maybe use the lang chain, like this right here, right? This uses lang chain and lang chain Ollama. And I just find some of that stuff. I see this, okay? Let me steal this code. I don't know what needs to be in here yet, so let's just do this. I do know I need a new function that will return an agent using pointer semantics because this will represent an API.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
I don't know more just yet. I do know that I need these imports. So I'm going to bring these in. And I know I need that. All right. And I know this is not the model that we want to use. We want to use the Llama, I think it was 3.2.
3.2.
Yeah, 3.2.
Yep.
I don't think we have to say latest, but we will. Okay. Now, because that can fail, this has to be able to return an error, right? Okay, so we know we need that. And then that, let me do a make tidy. Let's bring that dependency in.
Yep, lang chain.
Okay, and then if I look, that returns an LLM, right? So that tells me right now that I need that, right? And so we know that an agent, I don't like, remember I always like doing construction at the
end,
at the value semantic level. We know we need this. And then this is a return, right?
Yep.
If I spelled it right. Okay. So I know I've got this so far. I need that, right?
So that's going to create a new...
That's going to give me an LLM API that will connect to Ollama.
Yep.
Using the Llama 3.2 latest.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Now, what's also interesting is the prompt that I added before here, right? I'm going to move that under here.
Because that's going to be reading.
We need it, and I'm going to embed it into the binary, right? And so, so one of the things I'm going to do, I don't know if I have embed here. I have it in other projects, but
I think we did.
Yeah.
Oh, this is AI training.
Yeah, I don't know if I did it here. Where what I should do is look for this in quotes, because then that would have been in an import like that, right? See embedding, which means I must have been here.
Right there.
That's what I'm looking for, right? So now I could just say prompts, but I just need the one prompt, right?
Yes.
All right, so I should be able to just say prompt.txt and call this prompt, and then embed. And I got to use the underscore. Come on, stop helping me.
Why do you need to use the underscore?
Because if you're not going to use any APIs from this, it's going to disappear. Go doesn't want you, and why should it have to traverse that during compilation if you're not using it? But we do need it here because there's an init function. So the blank identifier prevents it, tells the compiler, I know we're not using it, but there's an init function underneath that we need.
Got it. Okay.
All right. So that gives us our prompt. Right now, that's fine because it's just the one prompt. We can make that a little bit more complicated if we need to. I don't think we need to. Actually, that's funny. We had this in here already with DataStar, didn't we? Right? Static. I could have just pulled it here.
Yep.
You see where he uses an embedded FS and then he opens up. He gets access to that. But I just want the raw text right now. So I think that's fine. Okay. Now, I've got a Llama API. I'm curious. See, we're not going to do embedding creation at all here, which
Yeah,
is probably what this example was. So this one has some prompts. This might have been the weather one that we wrote.
It looks
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, I think it's the weather one. So I'm just looking, right? So that's it. That's LLM call. So it looks to me like this is all we need. We just need the Ollama package to do what we want. That's what I was sort of checking.
Got it.
So now we've got, this will give us the access to that. We've got the prompt sort of embedded. We know that our prompt has one thing that we're going to have to add to it, which is the, say, %s. I don't need a whole big like Go template. I just need a place to put the question when we get it. Everything else can sort of stay the way it is, right? Okay. So now, essentially, what's going to happen is, let's think about the API that we need, and then we can look at the integration point. So the API itself, I don't think it's a huge thing. Where there's going to be a call where, given some input, we call Ollama and you get back a response.
Yep.
Right? And this might just be everything we need as an API call that we then leverage in the UI itself. Maybe. I don't know. Let's write that. So let's do the following. Let's write that API, and then we can even just write a quick test just to make sure it's working. Though I feel pretty good it's going to work. So then, look, function a agent. We can just call it chat, right? So given some input.
Yeah.
Input. I mean,
that would be the message. Or,
right. Yeah, it would be the message, right? It would be the message. But given some input, we'd have some response and or an error. Now, we saw here that it's essentially this code right here, actually, bro. There's not much more to it.
Because we're not doing any vector embedding or anything like that.
No, not right now, right? So given the prompt and the input, you get a new prompt. We call the LLM, and then you have a result. Now, we need the LLM through the receiver, and we can ask for a context here. Dude, that's freaking it. That's it, because this is going to do all the HTTP calls underneath to talk to Ollama.
Oh, okay,
and it's calling the chat. Yeah, it's calling the chat endpoint, which is what this has been using.
Got it.
Right? If we go back and look at the logs, you see / API
/chat.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we need. So from what I'm seeing right now, this is sort of it. Maybe there's more. I don't know. I thought there would be more. I'm not seeing that there's more just yet, but we've got this. Okay.
So it's receiving the input. So that's the step where it's.
This is the Kevin.
Yep.
And then we integrate that with the prompt. Now, this to me is a problem, because the problem is that there's not just input. Okay, we've got some more.
Because it would be history.
There's also history, which let's just say right now is a slice of string. So for me, you're going to, right? We have to do this ourselves. That UI is always doing it for us. And so for me, you're going to have the history. And then you're going to have the question. Right? So here's the prompt.
Yeah.
Here's the chat history. And then here's the question. So you are Bill Kennedy from Ardan Labs. Use the following context about who you are to answer the question below.
In a neutral tone.
Context about who you are and the chat history. Right?
Yep.
To answer the question below, keep your answers short. And I don't know why, but like doing this has always seemed to help with when you say context, it can match it up.
That's how I usually do
Right?
it.
Even sometimes I just keep it with the capital just to make it even better, right? And maybe we even put a hyphen here just to make that even better, and not like everything else is like star star, right?
Yeah, so that kind of separates it. And
Yeah. So I'm not using colons. And we know this worked anyway, right? Even with the extra
Yep.
colons. But sometimes I'm afraid, like, if I don't put these colons, it may not think it's a. I've got the stars, right? Now that I've got all these different sort of sections. So just do that, right? So the only thing that has the colons are this. So
got it. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know enough. It seems to work anyway, but why? We'll just see what happens. Sometimes you make a change like that because you think it's going to be better and it makes it worse, right? Okay, so now we're going to have chat history too. So, and this is history between both of us. So we're going to want to make sure that it does say user was Kevin or Bill.
Yeah, we're gonna want the whole history, not just like one way.
Yeah, until we reach a token problem, which eventually we will. Now I've got to integrate that history into the prompt, right? So now what we're going to have to do, and I want to kind of do that at where each one of these is a carriage return line feed, right?
Okay.
So essentially, we need to, let's just do this. It's not efficient, but I don't need to be efficient just yet. So I can range over the history. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. It's really inefficient. If I wanted to be a little bit more efficient, I could do a var b bytes or string buffer, I think. Strings.builder, right? And then b has a write string, which would essentially, I think, could be this, right? Which is that one history record, right to the. This would be a little bit more efficient, but we'd get the carriage return line feed for each s. Then b dot string would give us the history
Got
that
it.
would come
Okay.
first, right? And so that's just our history builder.
And then yeah, I mean,
A little bit more efficient, but but we need everything in that sort of.
so there we'll get our history. We
Yeah.
still have to write the part that will feed it the input in the history from the
Yeah,
UI.
well, we have to make this call. We're not
Yeah.
ready to do that yet, but even do carriage return line feed twice, so it will do that. So I think this is what we need, right? We need this call to chat. We're given a context, input in the history, take the prompt, apply the history, do the input, and we should get some answers there.
And we should get the result.
Yeah.
And then that result is what would go in the.
And we're going to have to decide how much history we want to bring in, because I wouldn't necessarily want to bring in old history from forever ago.
That adds no value.
No, so we might have to make some other changes just to look at, say, history from today, or we only use the last 10 histories,
10
which is probably the best way to do it, right? Just keep to the last 5 or 10 sort of messages.
Yeah, which that would be wherever we're making this call.
Which would minimize the token count too. So we've got this chat now, right? We're given this, we get back an answer. Okay. So now I think it's interesting to me is if I just focus on the TUI right now, because it's just sort of simpler, right? Oh no, that's cap. I'm like, I have it under clients. Okay. Let me clear all these windows. close all. Okay. So if we go back to our diagram for a second. So the first stage is going to be knowing that a message came in.
Yep.
And getting that message in the last 5 sort of chat histories so we can make the call.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about that, that code isn't necessarily in here. It's in client, isn't it?
Yes, because
Right?
we're writing it to it's wherever we're writing it to that file, right?
So let's see if we can find where that is first. So receive a cat message, okay? So when we receive the cat message, all this happens. And my guess is that there's a call to write text. So it's at that point, anytime we're writing text
Mm-hmm.
and it's not an error message, right? Error message returns a message. So we're going to have to know what, well, let's not worry about error messages for a second. So it's the call to write text. So my guess is if we come here on the UI side, we're going to see an implementation of
Right.
So the agent can be connected into this space right here.
Okay. So
Right.
about okay.
Yeah, it could be connected there. So here's the question. The question is, do we integrate this agent into the client? I don't think so. I think this is very much a UI. Now, when we integrate it to the UI, we'd have to do the same integration for DataStar.
Yes.
We'd have to do the same integration for DataStar, which all that's in Go. When I start thinking about JavaScript clients, things get a little bit more interesting. But let's keep it at the UI level for a second. I know the following. I know that if we look at this code here, okay, what happens? We said if the message ID is empty, that's probably when it's an error, right?
Yeah. Think.
Probably when it's an error, the ID is, yeah, nil. So that's interesting, right? Because this would be an error. This would be when it's us. So we had message name. In case the message ID matches our ID, we do this.
Okay.
And then on the default, we are looking to see which user it is. And if that's the current open window, we write it.
Yep.
And if not, we put the star in.
Got
So
it.
we've got 2 situations here. This is when we're writing the message. We don't want to hit the UI for, I mean, we don't want to go to the agent for that.
Okay.
Right? That's just a respond.
Yep.
This is the path that we want to go down.
So that's where
when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's sort of only this because we're not responding, which now also means if I switch over to Kevin and I see it, I may have to do a response. But we won't deal with that just yet. Right now, we're just going to do active window stuff, right? Active window stuff. And then when it's switched, that would, well, remember, if we're in agent, well, if we're in agent mode, we want them, you don't know which active window it is anyway. No, we would have to interact with all.
And you'd want it to just, like, what if you wanted it to just work on the window that you have active?
Well, remember, I walked away. So if 5 people reach out to me, I got to be able to respond. You don't know which active window I'm on. So technically, it's going to be both of these situations. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this is where we're going to take this is where we've got to sort of do everything to make the call and sort of make it all work.
At the UI level, not the...
Yeah, we're going to do it here. And we know that it's going to require some sort of function call within the scope of this. So we're going to need to know for an agent mode, we're going to need our agent. and know that we can connect to the Ollama. So we know this, right? We know,
Yeah.
even if I put here, it's like, okay, this is, I always like doing it capital. This is where we hit Ollama with, right, the input and history. But we need to write some support for this even in here.
And we're also going to need to know when we're in when we pick AI agent mode.
Oh yeah, so we're going to do that now. Okay, we're going to do that now. So we know that we have a new. Okay, so we can do AI, right?
Yep.
AI mode. All right. We got like 6 minutes here. I want to end early. I want to end on time today. So
Okay.
let's just at least get things here, and then when we're back, when are we back?
We're back Tuesday.
I'm going to Brazil. Well, no, I'm in Brazil on Tuesday.
Oh, so
it's going to be Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I can do this on Thursday. On Tuesday, I'll be at the conference. So we'll be back a week from today to finish this work.
Okay.
But wrong thing. But here, what we can do is say AI mode.
Yeah.
Bool, right? And just that alone now will let us, we have the UI there. But where do we construct UI first? So now what we can do is say UI. I always hated doing this. I don't like doing partial construction.
Oh.
And we're doing partial construction. This is like really a mess for me. But there's just no way around it because I gotta wait, right? We had a chicken and the egg problem here too, because something needed to have closure here. Set change needed to have closure over the app. But that would give us AI mode here. Let's just at least code this. So now we need a flag that would give us the basics for knowing if we're in AI mode, right? We do it at a flag level. So we don't have to overcomplicate this thing at all. Golang flag package here. So essentially what we'll need is, yeah, we should be able to do this. You can bind the flag using var, or you can create, you still have to call parse, but yeah, let's just go with this option here. So we're going to have AI mode, right?
Okay.
It's a bool. And we're going to have the flag package, and we're going to have a bool var, which will be the address of this. Flag name is AI mode. The default value will be false, and turn on AI mode, right?
Okay.
And then yes, you need flag parse, which is the part I always freaking forget to do, and it never works. Okay, so that gives us the ability by default. By default, it's false, which is what we want.
Yeah, it won't be on.
So since we do this in the init, now what happens is we got AI mode. So this now will give us that. And if I come to our make file, and we've got run TUI, right? I don't know what you're doing to me. Run TUI AI.
Yep.
Then we would be setting dash AI mode.
Oh, okay. So that's what
true, right? Yeah. That should be, because we called it AI mode. So then it would be AI mode. That should work. We could even see that, even though we're not doing anything just yet, because we don't have any sort of log here. We have a regular. Remember, it goes so quickly into the UI. That will be hard to see, but we'll know right away if it's working or not. So this, at least at this point now, gets us pretty good. So when we get back next week on Thursday, where was the to do? We're going to have to add a little bit more code for a call that we're going to make here when we're in AI mode. And I know there's going to be some more integration that we haven't done yet. So let me close this up. We're going to commit this, but under cap now, what we're going to do is final sort of integration with Ollama, right? And that's going to be at that UI level.
Yeah. So we'll need a way to enter AI mode and toggle it on.
Well, we have it. I've got it already in the make file now.
So we just add the button, basically, or
no, the UI doesn't change. When we go into AI mode, it's all just going to happen magically. You don't type or.
Yeah. So how do you get into AI mode? That's what
we just did it here, bro. Look. At least for the TUI, we added the flag. We haven't finished this code yet. All we've done is passed in to the UI, so we know. I know, but we haven't used it yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Look. This is how we get into AI mode.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna need a way for the user to toggle it without, or they're just gonna do it through the make file.
No. We're either gonna start in AI mode or not start in AI mode.
Okay. Yeah.
No. We're not gonna toggle that right now.
Got it.
We either start in AI mode or we don't. Don't make things more complicated than
Got it.
Eventually, we could potentially do that, but baby steps, man. This is where people fail. They try to do too much in one shot. Let's just get that working, and then we can refactor to maybe a toggle. Okay, so some AI mode feature, but we're not done yet, right? So I don't care about that. Git push. Okay, so if I come back here, all right, it's 1 o'clock. We've been doing this for 2 hours. I want to finish on time today. I got to go to Brazil anyway and start prepping for that. But we've got a design. Oh, dude, why is my camera off here?
Did we move? Oh, maybe moving the mic around in the beginning.
No, it's almost like it's not using the. It's using this, but it's not using. I don't know. We'll deal with that later. It wasn't like that when we started.
No,
today.
I think we bumped the actual camera, moving the mic in the beginning.
Oh, you think we bumped it? Okay, whatever. We'll fix that later. Okay, so a week from today, we're going to go back and finish it. We've got our design. We know how to talk to Ollama. We were running the browser UI. I just shut everything down here. Sometimes after I shut these things down, and nobody can see this because they're looking at us, I just do a PS, and I make sure it's actually gone.
Got it.
All right, so I will see everybody a week from today. If you live in South America, get over to Brazil, because that's where I'm going to be at the GopherCon Latin America, and you can see some of this code actually live as well. But we're very close to having an initial implementation of an AI agent running running the UI, and then we can sort of keep tweaking it. But we know it's going to work, bro. We got prompt was pretty good, right? Like I wasn't like, for a first sort of throwing at the prompt, it's going to work. It's not like I ain't worried about that. It's just.
I wonder how fast the actual response is going to be from when you send a message to like.
It's the same thing you saw in the browser. Boop. Same thing you saw in the browser. If we use the Llama 3.2, the 3.3 is running too slow on this machine. I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
But the 3.2 is going to be like this, bro.
That'll be cool.
And then we can start tweaking it. All right. So that's it for us. Thanks for hanging out for the last couple hours, and we will see everybody again next week, or maybe I get to see you in GopherCon Latin America.